Louisville, national champions, 1980.
Cardinals have won the national championship. 75th NCAA college basketball champions.
Hello, everybody. It's been a while. So welcome back to another episode of the Third Banner Pod. I am your host tonight, Kyle, and joining me tonight is Ty. And soon we will have Ross with us. He's just getting off work. We did push it up a little bit since the game ended in like an hour and 45 minutes, which was crazy. So we decided to go ahead and push it back up. We really could have done this at 9 o'clock, Ty, but who would have guessed that it would have been done that quick?
Yeah, you would figure with the Virginia game it would go a lot longer, but yeah, it ended up like right before 9, so we got that out of the way. It's always like going to the dentist when you play Virginia in basketball. So luckily we got that out of the way.
Well, the good news is every game anymore is like going to the dentist, whether we play Virginia or somebody else. Couch House,
Facts.
Thank you for joining us. Always first in the comments. Looks like we got people rolling on in tonight. I don't know about you, Ty, but I'm not even fazed by this, man. Like, I'm just not. Like, I'm completely done with it. Like, I'm watching the games to be supportive as a fan. That's about all I can do. Can't blame anybody right now for not watching. Obviously, we had some injuries tonight we did not know about. I think we're the first team to go from a 2-week period of not playing at all to all of a sudden we're injured. Like, we got guys injured left and right. We knew about Dennis Evans being injured. We knew about JJ Traynor. We didn't get either one of them back. Then we lose Trey White tonight. And who else? We lost somebody else tonight. And the
Corafor.
Corafor didn't play tonight. So, yeah, we are the only team that suddenly gets even, more injuries, even though we didn't play a basketball game. Ross, welcome. Good to have you, man. Can you hear us?
I can. Here we are.
All right. Well, another 20 plus point beating, and it just didn't seem to really doesn't really faze me anymore. I'm just waiting for this to end.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how the hell I was listening to it on the radio at halftime. I didn't tune in for any of the second half. I'm trying to figure out how my parlay didn't hit. I mean, the score was 35-20 at halftime.
Correct.
I had the under 29, and I had Beekman, who needed to go over 15.5. So he needed 16. He had 11 at halftime. All the rest of my parlay hit, like all 7 other bets or 5 or whatever it was. I literally don't know how those were the 2 things that cost me from winning that. I mean, and then I go look at the second half and the score was 40-31. I'm like, come on, man. Really? And I'm trying to figure out how Beekman didn't score 5 points in the second half. How did he not score 5 points?
We just don't get our way as Louisville fans. Ty, what'd you think?
Well, you were talking about the injuries and everything. I was going to ask, do you think Kenny Payne does practices like the movie Dodgeball? Do you think, like, is that how you imagine the practices go? Like, if you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball, you know what I mean? Like, you just throws wrenches and shit everywhere and hurts everybody.
I don't know. I just can't understand how, we were all healthy all of last year, which didn't seem to matter. We've had a couple of injuries, nagging injuries with JJ and with Dennis Evans. But to have 2 additional injuries on top of that and not get those guys back after having 2 weeks off and the holidays, like, what'd they do? Trip and fall during a family reunion?
I guess
I don't know. I don't know.
Going up for seconds in the Christmas dinner. I don't know. Anyways, before I even get to the game, I think I'm going to go ahead and mention. I know, Kyle, you want to talk about this as well. It's kind of what we're all thinking as fans. Corey Alexander, you are a freaking clown, dude. You are a clown. The constant gaslighting that I'm seeing from announcers and Corey Alexander today, I think that's the only thing he talked about really throughout the whole game, was trying to gaslight fans into how they should feel or think about this. Corey, you don't know the half of it, dude. You haven't been here for this. You're just now tuning in. I'm sick and tired of people making excuses and trying to tell us as fans how we need to feel, what we need to think. Call it like it is. This has been this has just been a failure from the top down, and it
Yep.
just continued tonight. Tonight was just another example. That's why it doesn't even faze me anymore. It's just another example to add to the amount of failures that has been the Kenny Payne era.
I'll say this about Corey Alexander. I don't speak as a monolith for all Louisville fans, but I can tell you the majority of Louisville fans do not care for your opinions, especially
No.
about our fan base,
Absolutely
our program. And the majority of us know you have no clue what you're talking about. First off, flexing about knowing Kenny Payne was a guy they were going to hire. Bro, I hate to tell you, but everybody knew Kenny Payne was going to be the guy like in December and January. Like even before Chris Mack left, everybody knew Kenny Payne was going to get the job. Everybody knew Mack was out. We just didn't know when. It ended up happening mid-season. As soon as it happened, we knew Kenny Payne was going to be the guy. So that's not impressive that you knew that and you were like flexing about it on TV. Everybody knew that. And a lot of us were very skeptical of it and dreaded it. And now look at it. Now, that aside, you don't seem to have a clue what's going on here, man. Like, you don't speak for us. You don't know the half of it. You act like we have all these issues going on right now because of things that happened in the past. It's a clean slate. Now, if you want to argue last year we had some stuff that he inherited, absolutely. But you still don't lose Lenore Rye. You still don't lose your first 3 games by 1 point to way inferior competition. And you still don't go 4-28. Then you come into this year with the easiest schedule out of arguably anybody in the Power 5. Arguably anybody. You're 5-8 right now. We're getting spanked by teams we have no business being spanked by based on how the roster stacks up on paper alone, such as Kentucky Wesleyan in an exhibition game, DePaul owned us from start to finish, and they haven't done anything all year. And that's just Arkansas State creamed us. I mean, it's been a disaster. You don't have to go through it.
Creamed us.
You don't have to sit here and deal with it. You don't know the half of what goes on, Corey Alexander. So you have no right to sit for an entire game and lecture us as fans. Guess what? Like I said, I won't speak for every Louisville fan, but I will speak for a lot of us. You don't know what you're talking about, dude. Keep your mouth shut about that. If you think he needs more time, keep it there. Don't lecture us. We don't want to hear you. You don't have to deal with it.
And Corey, as you know, Corey is a former Virginia player.
Yeah,
so of course, Corey wants us to continue the Kenny Payne experiment. Of course, he wants the pain to continue.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
There's no way he doesn't see this. Like they have to. I don't know why announcers and like Jay Williams kind of did the same thing. I don't know why they continue to go to bat for Kenny Payne. There's nothing to go to bat for. I know you have to see it. If you have any intelligence in a former basketball player, if you have any experience, you have to see this for what it is. So I'm sure Corey, as a former Virginia alum and player, I'm sure he does enjoy seeing Kenny Payne still be the coach. I'm sure he would love that.
Let me ask you something. So y'all remember Brad Dougherty?
Yep.
UNC's coach. He was a former UNC player, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he was arguably the worst coach they've ever had. You know, it took how many seasons? 3, I think.
We only got 2.
Maybe only 2. That being said, okay, so and UNC fans were like, yeah, we're over this. Like, and they went and got Roy Williams, you know. So hopefully something like that is ahead for us. I don't have a clue what Josh Hurd's gonna do after this at this point. But I would just say for Corey Alexander or Jason Williams or anybody that's, you know, that wants to go ahead and put the gaslight the fans, you just need to give the man time. I mean, it's real easy to say that. Let this be your guy ahead of your team and your fan base. And again, I mean, we're on record. Like I'll say it. Like I wanted Kenny Payne. And I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to work, man, because I thought we were going to have all those recruiting connections. We were going to get all kinds of players, and that just hasn't happened. And that's a big part of it. But there's a lot of other stuff too, you know. So let somebody like this be ahead of your program, and you sit there then and tell me, yeah, you're good with going 428 in the first year, and we're probably staring down what 9-24 or
Maybe.
Is there 4 wins on the schedule? I don't think there is.
I mean, hell, I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
we're not going to be on the road.
Notre Dame was supposedly ranked below us as far as predictions, as far as finishing where they were going to finish in the ACC. They were predict 16th. We were 15th, or no, we were 14th. They were 15th, and they just spanked Virginia just a few days ago by 20 points.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we just got whooped by what was it, 77-53? Is that what the score was?
Yeah.
We just got beat by 24 points. I mean, how? Like, I'm sorry. Like, if the shoe was on the other foot, these people would not be saying this. You know, they just wouldn't. They're giving lip service to a national audience, and I have to think that some of the higher ranked people that are in Kenny's representation are also influential with ESPN and what gets put out there. So I think that's really the only reason we get a lot of this. But, you know, I feel pretty confident in saying that this experiment, you know, I don't even call it experiment. This tenure, this season, this is going to be the last season. And, you know, we'll just move on from there.
Well, my big thing is like, okay, I get that there's like a inner circle between former players, coaches, and all that in the industry, especially. But there's a way to say that, hey, you know, he inherited a tough situation. Sometimes it takes a little more time than other places without going at the fans, which I know, Ross, you were at work and you didn't get to, you know, watch, but the dude just went at the fans. Like, first off, he acts like we're like a loser program. Like, we're not used to winning. That alone irritated me. Like, we have no idea what it's like to be a successful program. That's BS. But to hear, it's like you're already getting spanked on the court. And to hear a guy basically tell you that your fan base deserves it because of, you know, that's basically what I got out of it, was like you shouldn't expect any more than what's going on right now. And that it takes forever. Like, okay, you know, the 1980s basketball program building called and they want their take back because, my God, I mean, we got NIL in the portal era. You can flip a roster in one off season and be good.
You could do that before the NIL portal and before the transfer rules the way are now. You could do it then.
It was very challenging back then. I know, like Cal Perry did at UK, for example. Very challenging. But now I can rattle, and I've already done this on this pod. I've named like 7 coaches that in their first year took a horrible basketball team, flipped the entire roster, and had a tournament team. We can do that.
Had them competitive. Had them, like, they weren't going to win it that year, but at least had them competitive and had them in most games. You didn't feel like, oh, we're going to get beat by 15 plus. I mean, the spreads alone that we see in the past, you know, from last year to now, I mean, yeah, I get it. I don't want to hear, well, Rick Pitino couldn't even beat Virginia. I mean, yes, I remember there was a half. Rick Pitino was our coach, and I think we had 14 points at halftime against Virginia. I mean, I get it. It's frustrating, but
everybody's got a program they can't beat. Like Jim Boeheim had it rolling at Syracuse for a while. Couldn't beat Rick.
Yeah,
and Rick couldn't beat Cal, and he couldn't beat Tony Bennett for the most part. And it happens. Like, there's matchup problem, but the problem is everybody's a matchup problem for us. My issue with the Alexander stuff
every single thing's like every single matchup's like a double digit. We're a double digit dog every game.
Well, and my issue is like we're getting beat by teams that have nowhere near the talent. And if you want to use the first year excuse, I don't, because we were historically terrible. But your slate was clean after that. I mean, everything was removed. So then the time to really, okay, let's just forget about the second or the first year. What happened this last offseason? Again, poor roster construction. You brought in a guy who didn't even have a recruiting profile, and now he's not even on the team, and that was an absolute disaster. The one guy that you had a lot of talent had a lot of drama behind the scenes with his circle, and he ended up taking off overseas before the season even started. You have a coach interviewing for a G League job, which is not a prestigious job. People try to tell us it was. Go look at G League jobs. You won't recognize any of the names except Andre Miller because he was a good player for the Utes in like 1996. Other than that, you won't recognize a soul on there. And they were.
I'm sorry. Did you say Utes? Did you say Utes?
Yes, sir. And it's like they we had all that going on, and it didn't have to be that way. We could have flipped the roster, had a really good recruiting cycle. So, Corey Alexander, tell me what future we have. Let's go look at all the recruits. Let's go look at the 2024 high school recruiting commits we have lined up to play right now under Kenny Payne. There's no cloud, and the one guy that we had who's a middling recruit as far as rankings go, he didn't sign. So you tell me, where is this going right now? Like, I'm over hearing people say, like, you guys just have to accept this. It's only going to take you 10 more years with the NIL and the portal. If you could just wait it out 10 more years, guys, you're going to have a great team. Just wait it out.
If we waited out 3 more years, we'll be completely irrelevant.
Exactly. We can't do this anymore. And I mean, I hope we don't do it anymore. I thought this was already done when we left the last episode 2 weeks ago. I was hoping we'd hear something within 24 hours, and it got nixed. And we can all go into why that was or wasn't, but it's a waste of time. We're here now, and it's just done with. Like, okay, we're sitting in it, we're embracing the suck, but I'm not going to hear you tell me I have to like it or I have to. Or I'm not. It's my fault. Screw off.
Usually, when we embrace the suck, it's better than this. You know what I mean?
I just mean, like, I understand we're going to go out there and get dog walked. I mean, that's just part of it now. I'm still watching, but I'm not going to hear the commentator, the announcer the whole time tell me, your expectations are the problem and that, you're not giving them enough time. Screw that, man.
You don't know nothing in anywhere in this world, no matter what institution it is, what way of life it is, what profession. Nobody achieves the ultimate success by lowering standards. That does not happen. And I understand that you could say, yeah, like you got to build it up. The problem is there is zero foundation getting built right now, like zero, like it's not happening. So you have nothing to build from there. You got zero. You don't have notable wins in 2 seasons. You don't have recruits. You went on record for at least a season and saying that you wanted to build it the right way, and that the right way to you was to not play the NIL portal game. So you shot yourself in the foot for at least another season there. And now you're in recovery mode, trying to make up for that. You've got coaches trying to leave. So how the hell are you going to attract top-notch talent out of the portal when they've seen you say all this? Then they look at your record and they see what you're putting out on the court, and then you got coaches that are wanting to leave. Players aren't coming to play for that. You need to refresh. You need to refresh the menu, refresh the coaching staff, and start over. It didn't work. It did not work.
You get 2 years. You get 2 years in the NIL transfer portal era at a perennial blue blood college like Louisville. You get 2 years now. Sorry. If you can't do it in 2 years, you can't make a tournament, next guy up. And I'd say that for anybody. It's no bias, any of them.
Yeah, we need
go.
I was going to say we need dream chasers, and we need moon children and high character warriors. That's what we need.
We need all that shit. Anthony brought it up in the comment section. I posted a little bit ago. He mentioned this is one of the things that Corey was talking about. He said a top 10 program all time isn't used to winning. Corey tried to make this argument that we're just not used to winning. Corey, what in the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, not since your boy got here.
I'm sorry for my language. I know my family's gonna be like, Ty, don't say that, but dude, what are you talking about? That guy is such a clown.
Yeah,
such a clown.
That's where you gotta go to live at the Apollo and get the dude with the hook and like the sirens, like just pull him off. Just like Just pull him
Well,
off camera. Like,
it was sickening.
what are
He
you
was talking
talking about,
He was
bro?
talking about how like Mike Pegues, maybe we should have just given Mike Pegues another whole year and then Kenny Payne if he would have been able to come. What? Mike Pegues was an interim. Like, what are we doing? Like, hey, can you stick around one more year so Kenny Payne can come in at the perfect time? Which, oh, by the way, something people don't ever mention, maybe they just don't know. But Kenny Payne was well aware of the situation he inherited and said it was not going to be a problem. Said that before he got hired, said that right after he got hired publicly, but he was telling people behind the scenes, I'm not worried about the NCAA stuff. Whatever ruling they have, I'm not worried about it. We're going to get dudes in here. We're going to get all these guys out of here. Let's not convince Trey Davis to come back. He just dropped 17 points the other night. Seton Hall upsetting Providence on the road, by the way. Let's not keep guys like that. Let's replace him with Devin Ree and see what happens. And then when it doesn't work out, we'll blame the cloud. Well,
and make it make sense too. Kenny Payne's the guy for this job, right? But maybe we should have given Mike Pegues the job. How the hell does that work?
Well, he was saying for longer. He was like, KP took over at a bad time. The timing was off. If Mike Pegues could have had another year and then Kenny Payne comes in, that's not how life works, man. That's not how a coaching
That's not how
works.
That's not how winning's done either.
And here's how it goes for Corey Alexander or anybody that thinks like that. If you don't think the timing's right, you don't take the job. You don't take it. You say, look, that's bad timing. I'm not touching it. He never thought that.
How sad is it that Corey Alexander gets paid whatever he's getting paid to make these stupid comments live on television? I mean, my God, who in their right mind thinks that at Louisville it's acceptable or like the right way to let Mike Pegues, the interim in that shit show, which is different than this one, have another full year and then when has that ever been? I don't know. Corey Alexander really just threw me and I think the rest of the fan base for a loop tonight. That was just absolutely pathetic what he was saying on national television.
Well, and two, like, I mean, I don't know how you could sit there on that box. I mean, that's what we're all talking about. How could you sit there and just repeatedly regurgitate that stuff? Fortunately, I didn't hear it, but
thank God
to think that, to like you said, Ty, like somebody like him is getting paid to just spew this stuff ad nauseum, like it's just brainless, just mouth diarrhea. And to think about all the really good employees that ESPN has cut over the past 3-4 years. I mean, and you keep that guy. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And you wonder why your business model's not working.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess the only thing left with basketball, obviously we have to wait this out. I mean, I know Josh Hurd didn't close the door on, he didn't give a time like, hey, we're going to keep Coach Payne for the rest of the season. He made it kind of sound like it was just a continuous effort to see what's going on, game by game basis. He would evaluate it. I'm sorry, but I just think that when you have the window we had right after the UK game, that was the time to do it. And I just don't see it happening until the end of the year. But I guess what I want to get into with that, because I mean, everybody's talking about where we go from here. It's on all the shows. So, this podcast, I feel like we held off for a while on where do we go after this year. But I mean, everybody's doing it now, so we might as well join the party. The one thing I'm getting annoyed at is seeing everybody say, well, we just got to wait it out till April 1st when the buyout drops $2 million. I'm going to explain something a lot of people, I haven't heard them say, that it just does not make sense to wait until April 1st at all. Because first off, unless your coach is in the Final Four, he's probably already available. And so that's 4 coaches. And most of those guys, I assume, unless it's a guy like Dusty May once again, if he makes another one, most of those guys are probably going to be guys like Bill Self, who's not going anywhere. So at the most, you might have like 2 coaches within your pool that you can, and I'm guessing we won't even have that. So where I'm going is like, you wait till April 1st to fire Kenny Payne. You've got to fire him. Then you've got to conduct the official search. You may have put feelers out there, but you still had a coach. So now you got to really figure out who's interested. That takes time. Meanwhile, your transfer portal opens, I believe, like March 16th or March 17th.
And it closes when?
Like, I think the very beginning of May. And Connor, I'm sure Connor's got the dates memorized, and he's in the chat right now. But I'm pretty sure the very beginning of May. So what you're telling me is we could go to like April 10th, April 15th without a coach. And then the coach is going to come in, have 2 weeks to recruit the portal. And then we're gonna do what? Field a team?
You forgot a crucial.
That's not gonna happen.
You forgot a crucial step in that. The coach has got to be named, and then he's got to put together a staff, and then they got to go recruit. Like,
right.
Like that does not work. That does not work.
Or for Kenny Payne, you just wait, a month or two until, after you get hired, then you make your staff.
Well, and we better not have that happen again. And your hope is that with the current coach, because I believe we'll bring in a head coach, your hope is most of the assistants, if not all of them, will just come with them. But there are a lot of things you have to do, and you can't do it until you terminate your current coach. And so if you're talking about waiting till April 1st to save $2 million, well, guess what? You're going to lose all that money next year when we can barely field a basketball team. You have to get a coach in there as soon as possible when the regular season ends. Now, if you have to wait it out for a good coach that's in the tournament, so be it. Yeah, Connor says March 18th, so I was a day off, to May 1st. Yeah, so go ahead and hire a coach on like April 10th, and then he gets a staff in there by April, 17th? He's got 2 weeks to recruit a portal. It's already drying up. That's not going to happen, guys. So I'm sick of hearing the April 1st thing. It does no good to save $2 million if you go into next year with a
shitty roster
again. And no fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're gonna have to do it before then. Now he may make it to the end of the season, but for us that would be what, March 3rd, March 5th, whenever the first ACC game's done. I mean, we're most likely going to lose that. I mean, that's when the season's going to end.
Guys, you don't realize we're going on a UConn. We're going on a UConn run right now. At the end of the season, we're going to win 5-6 straight. That's going to happen. All right. Because we said it's going to no.
Corey Bryant says, get the dude from McNeese State. That would be Will Wade, and that's a very controversial figure. Out of realistic names, he would be on my list. He wouldn't be number one. He'd be up there, and I know he has dirt, as they say, from something that's now legal. So it's no different to me when Kelvin Sampson got fired from IU for text messaging recruits. And that was illegal. And then like a year or two later, they legalized it. I would hire Kelvin Sampson tomorrow. He obviously has no interest in leaving Houston, much less coming here. I'm just saying. Will Wade is towards the top of my realistic list. I know people want Drew and Muss and Pearl. I just don't think we're going to get any of those guys. I've
been banging this drum. If you're going to go controversial, you go for a dude that's for sure going to win, and that's Chris Beard. That's my opinion. I mean, here's the thing, right? Yes, he had the domestic dispute issue. And yes, there was some sort of settlement. So it doesn't mean that he's exonerated from what happened. It means they came to a settlement, but it does mean, and this is my very limited, I have no law experience at all, but I do know that in most states, when there's domestic disputes, the state can still press charges even if the victim doesn't want to. So the fact that the state didn't press charges and continue those charges, that's something. I don't know what that means, but that's a controversial hire too. Will Wade's a controversial hire. Like, I know Beard will win. Well, I knew Beard will win anywhere. Like,
I do want to differentiate.
He will for sure win here.
I want to differentiate the difference between like Will Wade having like basketball legal issues because he paid players, which he has no shame about, by the way. That's the one dude who's like, I paid him, don't care. And now look, it's legal. And then the domestic dispute thing, like, I'm not going to get into like, I don't know what happened. I don't know.
None of us do.
I got barbecued in the comment section on here for one time because I said, I don't think our university has the balls to even pursue and look into it. And what I meant was, in general, like, I think our university doesn't have the balls, any sort of hint of dirt or controversy, I feel like our university just shies completely away because of our past. And that's what I meant by that comment.
Yeah.
Chris Beard's situation, I don't know. And I'm not going to I'm not going to speculate. I don't condone domestic violence at all.
No.
So,
Yeah.
No.
and I don't think anybody on this pod does.
No.
So I don't know. You'd have to do a lot of due diligence. I'll say that. You'd have to do a lot of
We need more
research.
facts.
I would want to know why Ole Miss took a chance, but I don't think we're going to hire
Exactly.
Chris Beard. I don't think we're even going to look that direction. But Will Wade, his issues are completely basketball related, to my knowledge, paying players.
That's kind of what I want to piggyback off you, Kyle. Like, if you're going to go down the path of hiring like a Chris Beard or like a Will Wade, you have to do your you have to do your due diligence. You gotta research it. You have to know that you are 100% going to be okay in making that hire. If it comes down to it, Josh Hurd, and he does that and he feels comfortable, then I'm all for it. But you have to really investigate that. You got to have all of your facts straight as much as you can. The only thing with the Will Wade thing, and again, I'm not opposed to it, but you have to do your due diligence. You got to research it. He has a show cause, which is still active.
Which is why I don't think we'll go close to him at all.
And
all.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm an expert on how all that works, but I would imagine that would throw a serious wrench into hiring him. But he's a good coach. He can recruit. And yeah, what he was doing back then, now is legal. Obviously through different avenues, but it is.
My problem with Will Wade is like all that stuff happened, and he's on FBI tape saying we made the guy a hell of an offer. Like that's something you could never get away from. Like with our past and that, that's something you could not get away from. It's going to constantly be brought up. The second thing is he didn't exactly light the world on fire at LSU when he got the chance to go from VCU to LSU. He didn't he was getting good recruits and he didn't kill it. So to me, that's a sign.
He had some good teams.
He was all right.
Teams. But I think given time, it seems like it takes most coaches a while to get over that Sweet 16 hump. Now there's a few exceptions, and then you'll get a freak Final Four run like Dusty May and then Chaka Smart. But as far as consistently can be, it just seems like it takes most guys a while to. Bill Self struggled for a while getting over that hump, and then he finally did it. Roy Williams, speaking of going down it took him forever. It was I know,
but Roy Williams was consistently an Elite Eight coach. He couldn't get to the Final Four. That's a big difference.
Well, Will Wade's young though. And he's making Sweet 16s. It's only one get. I don't know. I'd take a chance. I don't think he's number one on my list, but I also don't think we're gonna get okay.
To me, it feels like a retread, which is why I'm kind of meh on Shaka too. Because Shaka got a big opportunity. Now he's somewhere where the competition is not less, but
not less.
Villanova's not what they used to be. The Big East is not what it used to be. Okay, it's not.
Big
Butler isn't as good.
The Big East is really good, man. And
it's good, but I'm sorry. I don't know. I just don't think it's like Big East even from 4 years ago. But I worry about a coach like Will Wade or Shaka Smart, which coincidentally they both one followed the other at VCU. That's just a coincidence, but they both went up in competition, are now back down and very competitive. I just think in the world of collegiate sports, when you've looked at coaches that have done that, besides somebody what's his name? The coach that was at FAU and now he's at Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin. Most coaches that make that sort of that have that kind of career path, if they try to go back up, they don't do well. Retreads don't work. They just don't.
Here's my question. What do you think Shaka, if he played in ACC, if he coached in ACC, at least especially with our schedule, his schedule would be miles. It'd be significantly easier than what he has at Marquette. I mean, he's played a gauntlet to start the year. Now, I'm not going to get into. I know Ty is not big on, but I'm just talking about strength of schedule wise for Marquette. They've been playing. They played at Illinois and beat them at Illinois.
Well, that's
They
one
played
thing I'll
some
defend
dudes.
you. Yeah, that's one thing I'll defend Shaka on. Like, the Big East is a better basketball conference than the ACC right now. That's just facts.
It is right now for sure. I agree.
That's facts.
It is.
And I don't know, Will Wade. I mean, like I said, he didn't do bad at LSU. Wasn't doing anything before he got there.
Can I give you a little insight? Because we brought up Will Wade, and I'm sorry to interrupt, Kyle, but I went and looked up his resume at LSU. His first year in 2017, 18-15, made the NIT. Second season, 25-5, won the SEC regular season, 15-2 in conference, Sweet 16. 2019 obviously canceled because COVID, and then a round of 32, and then round of 64. So 105-51 in his games at LSU.
I guess here's my thing with any of these guys. I know people are like real big. I've heard the names everybody really wants. Here's what I look at. North Carolina, when their job came open, hired an assistant coach. Arizona, big job which it's worked out for them so far, hired an assistant coach. Duke hired an assistant coach. Syracuse, to be honest, I can't even think of who Syracuse's coach is right now.
Adrian Autry, I think maybe that's his name. Autry's last name.
UConn,
former player, right?
UConn hired Danny Hurley before he was Danny Hurley. I mean, when he was still an up and comer, that kind of like a lot of these other guys we've talked about had a lot of perceived warts. I mean, he's killing it now, but I don't see these big programs hiring these huge names. I can't even remember the last time we saw a big name. I want to say Roy Williams when he went to UNC. I mean, I'm sure there's been some since then. I know Bill Self obviously then went to Kansas. I believe he was at Illinois, but he wasn't quite Bill Self yet either. I have a hard time thinking of like these huge coaches like a Musselman and a Scott Drew and a Bruce Pearl, who once they get established at a school and have them in the top 10 or 15, I don't see them leave those schools very often. And I hope that we are the exception. I mean, I know we hired Rick Pitino 23 years ago, and that was insane, but he had just gotten fired from an NBA job. So that's one thing about that one. I'm not seeing where we're going to pull this huge name, and I hope I'm wrong. I do. I look at the guys. I'm looking at guys like Jerome Tang and Dusty May, maybe Will Wade, if we were willing to take that kind of PR hit for a little bit. I wouldn't care. I know some people would. I just feel like some of those guys are more realistic names than, I don't know, Musselman. I've heard Nate Oates brought up a lot. I can't imagine he'd leave his situation. I'm not totally sold on him anyway, but I just can't imagine a lot of these guys would leave that when we haven't seen anybody else at Blue Blood when their job's open. We haven't seen any other big names moving.
You know how in college football, like, Lincoln Riley is the example I was going to make. Lincoln Riley went from Oklahoma to USC. I don't see something like that happening in college basketball. I just don't know that there really is any of those types of coaches anymore. I mean, there's obviously still some legends and all-time great coaches out there.
Captain Hammond, there's a million reasons why Billy D wouldn't come. First off, he's a Rick disciple, would never come here because of that. Burn that bridge. I don't think he would come anyway, but he just I wouldn't want him either in a portal NIL era. I'm afraid he wouldn't be able to navigate it. And then he had an interview come out like yesterday where he actually talked about, he sounded like an old boomer on its front porch telling them to get off their lawns, saying that like college basketball is basically not what it needs to be anymore because the portal and NIL ruined it. That's I'm paraphrasing with my own opinion thrown in there, but that's what I got out of it. I don't think he wants anything to do with coaching college basketball, and I don't really want him if that's his mindset.
Yeah, I don't want him at all because I mean, he's been away from the game for like how long has Billy Donovan been away from Florida? 5 years now?
Way longer than 5 years. You're talking like 10 plus.
Yeah, because he had those OKC teams for years.
He was in OKC, and yeah.
when Kevin
16.
Durant was there.
Oh man. So yeah, I mean, the game's so much different now.
Mhm.
I mean, it's changed probably 5 times as much, if not 10 times. I mean, it's just a completely different environment and landscape now with the NIL and the transfer portal in these short couple 2-3 years than it was from like 16 to before COVID. You know what I mean? It's changed way more in that amount of time than it has before that. And he's been gone for so long. He's lost most of his recruiting ties. You know, he'd have to hire a staff that would be full of recruiters that have all these recruiting ties to get back in. It would take him time to get back in players' living rooms and make those connections and those ties with the coaches at the AAU level and players that are elsewhere that you're going to pursue in the transfer portal. Like, he just doesn't have that college name anymore. Like, it's games passing by. He's been gone for too long. It would take him a lot more time to do a rebuild at Louisville than a lot of other coaches. He's not to me, he's not the coach. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And like you said, Kyle, like, he's a Patino guy. He's not gonna take this job when the Rick was dismissed the way he was. It's disrespectful. That's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. That, like, people need to drop that one. That's a bad hire waiting to happen. It's a big name hire with a lot of money that will fail.
Yeah.
We're gonna eventually, when this really does happen and they do make the decision to fire Kenny, it's coming. If anybody thinks it's not, it's coming. It's just a matter of time.
It's like Vance Bedford said.
But
We're
when
coming.
we get to that point, we'll obviously kind of go into our own personal lists, and we're kind of looking forward to having our own personal top 5, top 10, and we'll kind of dive into all that good stuff. It'll happen. It's just a matter of time.
You could tell he's a Tar Heels fan with a dumb comment like that. Sorry, I'm reading the. Okay, dude. Yeah, well, we actually got rid of our least talented player. He went to UNC, and he's not done a thing since he got there. We definitely upgraded from that. So
I remember.
I can't really argue him. Like,
and I mean,
we
it's a
don't
brutal NIL era. It takes one coach and one off season to turn it all around, man.
Does it matter who the coach is? I mean, Louisville have no talent, like literally none.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who the coach is. They all recruit the same, right?
We have some talent. You can't sit there and look what we have on the court and say that we're not better than winning 5 games with the talent we have at this point. There is some talent. Is the talent where he's basically making our argument for us. So, like, he's basically saying Louisville's a better program than what they're fielding right now. Yeah, no shit. Like, the talent is not where it needs to be. The competitive level isn't where it needs to be. I mean, I'm not shitting on you, dude, but yeah, we all know this 100%. Like, we were competitive not that long ago. Like, Chris Mack probably wasn't the answer for a long run, and there were some things that went against him in that situation, but it wasn't that long ago. Chris Mack was beating Michigan State's at home in sold out crowds, and Michigan State was a top 5 team. I was there. We were beating Duke by 27 points with Zion, Cam Reddish, and God, who was the other guy? I'm drawing a blank right now, but they had that 3, and yeah, we blew that game. But, like, could you imagine any of these Kenny Payne teams being competitive with a team like with Zion, Cam Reddish, and RJ Barrett? Could you? What are you talking about? Like, we get blown out by 70 points.
I'll be honest, Ross, I'm not following, but I will say this. Like, back to the Tar Heels guy, I know you're just trolling, bro, because you're saying Jalen Withers is a stud, brother. He's averaging 3.7 points per game and 2 rebounds in 13 minutes.
Well, and even if he was a stud, that we got rid of.
How is that a freaking
upgraded
stud, bro?
player? So
we watched Jalen Withers for 3 years.
I
could tell you he's not a stud. He's an okay player. I respect what he did here, and he'll always be a Louisville for life. But he's not a stud, bro. Relax, stop.
Anyway, I'm not gonna waste my time with that anymore. It's just
Yeah,
stupid.
let's move on to cool stuff like football.
Yeah, what's going on with football? Let's talk about football because it's a little interesting. I'm not like worried or concerned. That's not the word for it. It's more confused. I'm confused about what we're doing in the portal right now because this is January 3rd to January 7th is when the portal opens for visits again, or at least anybody that's in the portal can go back and visit. And then after the 7th, visits stop again. So a lot of schools are bringing in guys as a last ditch effort, especially the guys who just finished up in the college football playoffs, maybe, or bowl games and just entered the portal. A lot of those guys are now on the market with a very short window of time. And we have seen a lot of departures since our bowl game. We had 3 receivers enter the portal, Huggins, Bruce, Coleman, and William Foles. So all 3 of them are in the portal. And I guess my thought was, all right, we'll see what receivers we have lined up. And I mean, we could get guys in the spring. Don't get me wrong. There is a spring portal season after the spring game and all that, after practices. But I think I was kind of under the impression we'd have a big visit weekend lined up, and maybe we do. But we've only heard one name, and his name escapes me, but it's a kid out of Toledo who
Penny Boone.
Penny Boone. I don't know why I can't remember that. COVID.
What is it? Baby Boom? What's his nickname?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know about that. All I know is when he runs, he brings the boom because that dude
He's
is
a big
huge.
guy.
Yeah.
He's a big guy. So we have heard about him, and he is he'd be a great ad, assuming Isaac Garindo goes pro. Now maybe he doesn't. I would assume if Isaac Garindo says, "Hey, I'm coming back," that would be the end of the Penny Boone recruitment. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I guess in my mind, I thought, well, we'd start hearing some more names about visiting this week. We haven't heard a thing. So maybe they're keeping it low key. I don't know. What do you guys think?
That's going to be like the fascinating thing to talk about is like Penny Boone versus Isaac Garindo. Because we all saw how Garindo like really kind of took off in the second half of the season, and how awesome he looked, and in the bowl game he was phenomenal. And then you have Penny Boone, who right now, I'm not mistaken, he's like the second rated or top 5 running backs in the portal. So it's going to be fascinating to see. Hopefully we get an answer from IG soon. I know he's still up in the air about whether he's going to come back or whether he's going to just move on. And I hope he'll come to a decision soon and make the best decision for him. But if IG does happen to move on and they can secure a commitment from Penny Boone, that would be just awesome. He's a huge running back, and he could catch out of the backfield too.
It would be a good compilation prize. If I had my pick, I would take IG in a second year in Jeff Brom's system over Boone. 10 out of 10 times. Garindo's what, 6 foot? He's 230 pounds. Like that's a big dude, man. Like he is a man. Like that is a
240 or 242. I mean,
and he might be, but I think
he's drop listed a little bit. I think he needs to pick up a little speed. I think if he drops 10 or 15, he'll still be a big boy and pick up some speed.
He's got a great frame for a running back, and he has shown that he has that thing that you desire in running backs. He's got that second level speed to be able to break away. That's very valuable. And you look at it too, when you're talking about college athletes, I mean, in this day and age, I mean, Isaac Garindo is going to be 25 next year, possibly going on 26. He's going to be getting into like his real man body. Like he's going to be physically a lot stronger than a lot of dudes. Okay. Like it just happens, and he works. From all we've heard, he's a workhorse. Like he's good in the weight room. Like he's strong as hell. He embraces contact. Like you got a 6-foot running back in something like what Brom likes to do. He does want to throw the ball around more, which is why we went after more tight ends this year. So we could actually spread the ball down the seams in the middle of the field this year. You're going to need a running back out there. If you have a running back that's out there that you're able to keep on the field all downs and not give away what you're trying to do, because that running back can also block, which IG can, and I think he can still get better. I mean, you don't tip your hand to the defense. That's invaluable. That is invaluable. Like, you're dictating to the defense before the ball's ever snapped. And that's the name of the game. And I will take IG back all day. But if he decides to turn it and go pro, I'll take Boone, because that dude's squatty as hell, and he's gonna bust some people in the chops too. Like what I've seen off of his tape, he's like, that dude is a goal line back all day. Like, he is going to get in the end zone. He's got a nose for first downs and touchdowns. So I'm all for it, you know. But if I have my druthers, I'll take IG all day.
Awesome Lamson. Let's see, you made the comment, I'd like to see that Garindo not declaring yet is a good sign. I think we all kind of agree. Like, at this point, I think the two biggest ones that we're waiting for is Quincy Riley and Isaac Garindo, to see what their decision is going to be. So yeah, it would be awesome. I think we're all in agreement that we would like to see IG come back. But if he decides not to, and the staff can get Penny Boot, that would be an excellent addition and a good replacement. Boone, just to give you all some stats real quick, Boone ran for 1,400 yards this past year at Toledo, 15 touchdowns, 15 catches for 219 yards. He averaged 15 yards a catch.
So almost 1,700 yards from scrimmage.
Yeah,
and
he's a real deal.
I think didn't he have like almost 6 yards per carry? I mean,
let me check.
It was hot. It was up there.
He averaged 7.2 yards a carry.
7.2 yards a carry. Now I know he
dude's a beast.
Now I know he will go up in competition, but
yeah,
you know, that's still, like, I don't think he's going to be an easy guy to tackle by any means. I hope we do hear something on these returning guys. I think that's where some of this maybe.
How many? Hey, Ty, let me ask you, because I didn't look this up the other day when I was looking into him. How many rushing attempts did he have this year at Toledo, and how many did IG have? If you could pull that up, and I mean, we can.
Boone had 194 attempts this year.
Okay, how many IG got?
Yards? It'd take a minute for me to look it up, but I can find it.
Yeah.
You know, less than that.
Toledo traditionally is one of the teams I really like to watch out of the MAC because they're really fun. They generally always are. So I would say that, you know, Boone gets a benefit of having a lot more empty boxes. I just think that next year, if IG comes back with the weapons we're going to have at tight end, you're going to be able to go a lot of 21 sets and have two tight ends on the field, one running back, and you're going to be able to disguise it as a lot of times as a run play, and you're going to be able to overload on a side, and then that be a pass play, and that's going to open up a lot of stuff. Not only the middle of the field. It could open up a lot of the stuff for passes to the backs in the backfield, because you've got a lot of the defense dropping back, but also because they're going to be reacting to the tight end so much, it's going to open up the boxes for IG to get more yardage per carry. And I think IG in a second year could be an all-purpose back next year. Like, I think he will absolutely dominate carries next year. I believe that, but not to the extent to where we won't keep him fresh. But he will stay on the field a lot.
Garindo had 132 carries for 810 yards, 11 touchdowns, 22 catches for 234 yards. So both Garindo and Boone are also able to catch out of the backfield.
Yep.
IG actually went over 1,000 from scrimmage last year, so that was pretty impressive.
So yeah, especially with the start he had,
and having to share with Josh.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, and don't forget we have the kid out of Miami that's coming in, Chaney.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's a really good player if he can stay healthy. He's very explosive, and he can also catch out of backfield. If you land both of those guys in the backfield, I mean obviously Garindo, like I said, you land Garindo with Chaney, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I do see people saying we need some cornerbacks. I will say, and good to see you in here, Desmond. I will say, we had the kid out of Florida, Jalen Kimber. He's visiting Texas A&M. Why would he do that right after he committed here? He committed here a few days ago. Why is he suddenly deciding he wants to visit somewhere else?
Because
Now,
somebody's coming back.
I asked that question on Twitter with the wind horse pointing up.
One of my favorite
Why would he
memes.
do that? And all
so
the answers
good.
I got were very much, well, he's wanting to get more money, which, yeah, that's probably true. That's always true. I guess my question would be, did they wait? Do you think that they waited to recruit Jalen Kimber till he committed here? I don't think so. I guess we'll see. I just think there's a reason why Jalen Kimber's looking around all of a sudden. So we'll see what happens in the next hopefully by the end of this week. I'm thinking we're going to get some clarification on some of that, and I think some of this is going to make a lot more sense.
I saw a comment from Devin Jutz talking about Brownlee. Did Brownlee? Did I
Brownlee's
miss him
gone.
today?
Brownlee's gone.
He declared.
About
declared
5
days
days
ago. Yeah,
several days ago.
That's been the thing for a few days.
Oh shit! Well,
I know
as
you've
you
been
all
out.
know, I've had a lot.
Yeah,
I've had a
you
lot
got
going on. So
yeah.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
Sorry, but well, that does stink because I will say that when Brownlee was healthy and we had him in there, it allowed our defense to play a lot more aggressive up at the line of scrimmage. But I wouldn't say that Brownlee's somebody that is irreplaceable. You're just going to need now Riley's that dude that has pure cover skills. He's got the ability to lock down an entire half of a field by himself.
Well, we do have that Thornton kid coming in, and I think he's going to be a player.
I think Thornton will take Brownlee's kind of role.
I think if you can, the staff did a really good job last year of loading up the secondary as it was a point of emphasis, and it was something that we were worried about. And we saw it for the most part throughout probably 4/5 of the season up until the last probably 3 games. That depth was invaluable. A lot of guys really lived up to what we needed them to be. And then I think, as more guys started getting more playing time, I think coaches were able to see some things on tape and were able to scout for those deficiencies. But, Riley is somebody that you can't really scout for. Like he's a one-on-one cover guy. So if you could load up and make the laws of probability work in your favor on the other corner spot and load up with some guys there, and you've got some guys that are coming back, and you can hopefully they get coached up and get groomed up, you're going to have somebody that's going to come out of that pile that's going to fill Brownlee's spot. So
now there is a name while we're talking about secondary, and I don't know if there's any. I have not heard anything about interest. Like I said, it's a weird time in the portal. There's absolutely no news about visits other than this running back. But Cole Martin decommitted from Oregon. His dad apparently is still coaching the DBs there, and he was a good player there. I think he played a ton of snaps, and he was expected to be a big part of their future. Not sure. That whole thing's weird, but if you remember the name Cole Martin, if the name sounds familiar, it's because we
recruited the hell out of him, right?
Yeah, he was a Pierce guy. So Pierce actually got him on a visit last offseason. And, I mean, I never thought we were going to flip Cole Martin. But I'll tell you, there's people in the program that did think we were going to. I didn't think you were going to flip a guy whose dad was the defensive backs coach at Oregon, of all places. Maybe if he was at, Louisiana Lafayette and Louisville recruited him, maybe. But Oregon's a tough place to pull a kid from anyway, much less when their father's the defensive back coach. But, he did visit in the middle of being committed there. had a good visit, dropped a lot of hints and stuff about Louisville on his social media back then. Now that he's decommitting, I mean, you think he would have a better chance of being pulled away from Oregon now that he's actually taking the step of decommitting. Seems weird with his dad being out of the picture. I'm not saying it'll be us, though. Like, I don't know. That was mainly under the Satterfield staff when all that happened. And I'm not sure if that was – it depends on who it was more. Was it more Pierce and Steve, which I think it would be? Or was it also a combination of the coaches that we had then? I don't know. And then does this move have anything to do with us at all? It could be that some other big schools like, hey, we will give you whatever you want monetarily and you can start and be our guy. And I don't know. I don't know. So he's a name that's interesting. I wish we had.
I don't know. I don't know
we had
much
an update
about
either
him,
way.
but
Like, hey, he's interested. Hey, he's not. But we haven't heard a thing. So who knows?
I can't even remember what I just remember us being very involved with that name.
He's a beast.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of player he is. I
Very
can't, like I
physical,
said, I can't even
fast,
remember. But
big, fast.
I mean,
He's a beast.
maybe there's something to be said that maybe him and his dad are a package to go somewhere.
Well, it sounds like Oregon plans on keeping him. That was the part I forgot to mention.
Yeah, I mean, maybe for another year, but maybe Cole goes somewhere, and then wherever Cole goes, that's a landing spot for his dad the next year.
Could be.
I mean, that we see how things work out a lot. And, Ron English coaches what position group?
Defensive coordinator.
He's a DB's coach.
I thought Ellis was our DB guy.
Well, no, English has been always in his career. He's been a DB's coach.
Oh, was that his primary?
He is a defensive coordinator, but yes. So maybe you could get a player like Cole here, and then maybe another good season of results from the defense, and Ron English gets another head coaching job, and then you've got somebody like his dad. I don't know if he would be ready for a position like that. I don't know a lot about his dad and his resume.
Hell of a recruiter, and he had a lot of I remember looking up his dad last year. He had all kind of dudes he had helped get to the pros. Now I can't remember who they are now, but I remember seeing the names. I was like, damn, he recruited. He recruited.
I mean,
coached him.
Worst case scenario, you could possibly promote somebody from inside up to defensive coordinator if that were to happen, or you get somebody, but you would need another staff spot. You would have another staff spot, and you could possibly get that kid's dad. And then if you're sitting here telling me that kid's dad's a hell of a recruiter, why wouldn't you bring on a guy like that? You've got the inside route. That dude would come. It's a no-brainer.
Maybe they bring him in when Ron English gets the Michigan job, when Harbaugh goes to the league after winning the title.
Yeah. Right.
Hey, I think, man, I would not be surprised if our former coach, Teron Moore, gets that job, to be honest.
Whatever happened to the Garrett McGee stuff, by the way?
Yeah, that's weird. What?
Yeah, it was like it was like a lock to go to Arkansas, according to their 247 Sports staffer dude and other guys. And haven't heard anything about Garrett McGee. Nick, you're always joining us so late, man. But it's good to have you. Better late than never, man. And fashionably late is a good thing. So that being said, I don't know what happened with the Garrett McGee stuff. Haven't heard a word about that. So it's kind of with our receivers that we've told to hit the road. We've had 3 of them, and all of them were 2 out of the 3 were key contributors. You have to think we've got some guys or an idea, some guys lined up. I guess when I look at the portal right now and the alignment of our roster, I don't know about you guys. I'm thinking we need possibly a running back if IG does go pro.
Mm-hmm.
We would need another cornerback if Riley goes pro. If he doesn't, then you could argue maybe you take one more for depth pieces since Kimber's looking around. I'm not sold on Kimber anyway. We could get into that.
I'm not either, to be honest.
Tackle or the lick. He can cover pretty well, but he's not a physical guy. So we might need another corner either way. I think we need one more linebacker. We need an edge opposite of Ashton Gelati. Now, we had heard about the kid out of Miami, Ohio, whose name escapes me right now, as a guy they were hoping to get the visit, but I have not heard anything confirmed that he is.
We need 4 offensive linemen.
4.
Mhm.
I think we're going to need one more tackle after we got Mills from Texas A&M, and we got a couple of guys, Nigra, and I feel like I'm missing another guy that we got out of the portal. But we've gotten a few guys out of the portal. I think we do need one more tackle for sure. Lance Robinson is a guy who stepped up now that he's eligible, and he looked really good. So I think we've got that position on lock.
Shoes.
And what else? I think we need another safety.
I think with Chuck, your guy back there, you need a lot of offensive linemen.
Well, they already got a lot. They have a lot.
We need more.
We have Nigra.
Where's T. Jesse at? Where's our dude Trent at? We need more. I'm telling you.
We have
need more depth.
Mills, Cutler from Ohio State, and Mendoza.
Cutler.
Everyone forgets about Mendoza. He was the first one. So
I forgot about the Mendoza line.
I agree with that assessment. I will say the corner spot, I know a lot of people are worried about. If Riley comes back, that's huge. But you also got to remember we have Aaron Williams, who sat out, redshirted. He had that injury that he was kind of coming back from too.
I think he's going to be a beast.
I agree. They expect a lot out of him, and everyone forgets about Marcus Washington, the transfer out of Georgia, who was one of the top transfers last year. So they have a lot of younger guys that just don't have experience. That's the only thing. But there's talent there in that room, and there's talent in that position. I think they are hoping that. I had it pulled up and then I went back to linemen, but the Tayon Holloway from North Carolina, Corey Thornton, if Kimber does decide to join and come along, sounds like A&M's trying to get him. I don't feel as bad about corner. It still does worry me a little bit, but if Riley comes back, I feel pretty good about it. Running back and receiver, and edge. Those are the top 3 worries for me right now.
Chaz says Mills is not the answer. Watch Oregon. Look, man, I feel like every single person that brings up Mills talks about the one bad game he had in his career, and I just Mills is really good. Like I think
very physical.
He's
very physical.
He's gonna be our best offensive lineman. He had one bad game. I don't know, man. Like I understand why everybody points out that one game. It's like, man, he did 20 things right, but that one thing you did wrong. That's all I care about, man.
I mean, it's not something to not be worried about. Like if you watch that tape, he struggled with the speed and the overloading on his side in that game. Yeah, but that's something that you can scheme for. It's something to be worried about. My thing is how physical Mills is. I think he's a right tackle all day, and there's been plenty of coaches that have way more football than me, but to me, you have a right-handed quarterback like Shuck coming in, and you're talking about power side, and you're talking about having 2 tight ends, and like I was talking about earlier, overloading one side. You put that dude at right tackle, he's plenty good enough to take on strong side pass rush, so to speak, until, you start overloading that side. But I think you make him a right tackle, and you go and find yourself another tackle that's going to be available after when the spring comes open after March. I don't know. Connor will know. Obviously, I guess the portal is different in basketball than it's football, but we saw it last year. We went and got how many guys in the portal after spring practice last year? I mean, we brought in 4 or 5 guys. I mean, and those guys, the O-line performed extremely well this year. They graded well. I think Mills is a right tackle dude all day, and you line up and you run the ball with IG down the defense's throat over that side.
I think he's going to be our best lineman, and I mean, we've got a couple good ones.
I mean, he might be.
I mean, that's how high I am.
The line's not complete though. We don't even know who else we're going to get yet. It's hard to.
I mean, as of now,
say that.
Yeah, well, as of now, like I'm looking at the guys that are returning, the guys we got in the portal, and him. I think as of now, if it were to stay like this, I think he'd be our best offensive lineman. Now,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I'm just my only reason bringing that up. That's how confident I am in him. Like that's not the guy I'm worried about right now. I'm looking at a guy like no offense, but Jalen Kimber, and I'm like, I just don't know why. If you're not going to tackle out there, you can't really be your liability. It's 10 on 11 out there right off the bat. Even if you can cover well, they're just going to run it right at you. They're going to run towards the sidelines right at you. And if they
they're going to throw a lot of bubble screens out your way too, because you're not going to play physical to stand up the blocker to stop the play at the point of attack.
Which I would assume Kimber's not brought in to start anyway. But I mean, I also assume he would probably get some playing time. So
he would be in the rotation for sure.
You'd have to hope we can really improve on that, unlike Florida. Because I mean, the UK game in particular, if you're going to have a really bad game for a school that you're transferring to us, you don't want to be against the team that you haven't beaten in forever and have to play again at their place next year. So
yeah,
I'm just saying, like,
we don't want you seeing boogeymen against the blue and white. That's
man, that's not it. But anyway, sounds like he may be heading elsewhere. At least he's looking at it. So we'll see what happens there. I think.
Do we want to give any?
But I think we need a safety. I think Devin Neal played well most of the year, but I think he did get exposed a little bit. MJ Griffin was a beast, but we don't know if he'll gain everything he had as far as explosiveness. When you have an injury like what MJ Griffin had, you don't always come back the same. So I'll be interested to see what happens there. I think we really do need to add a safety. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think Hutchinson stayed around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still here.
So I like the prospect of. I think the staff was actually very high on Hutchinson going into the year, and when he got hurt in summer practice, or was it spring? I'm trying to remember.
Go watch the tape against UK on Kimber. Just put Jalen Kimber UK.
We lost. Didn't we lose MJ Griffin and Hutchinson within like a week? I mean, it was like even within like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, it was the same week. They both got hurt.
Like
he came back.
The staff, I have it on pretty good authority. Just talking to somebody, you can take that however you will. It was at one of the Catholic picnics, so use your imagination.
Jeff Brom's your best friend. Is that what you're saying?
They were high on Hutchinson. They were very high on Hutchinson. Losing Griffin was a huge blow to this defense. Griffin that dude's an NFL player. He is an NFL player. They absolutely believe that, but they had a lot of plans for Hutchinson to get a lot of playing time this year in the 2 deep, and losing him definitely hurt the depth. And I give big kudos to players like Neal and number 11, Cameron Kelly. Cameron Kelly was a stud this year. Dude killed it. He played downhill. He dictated to the defense. Dude was awesome this year. Like, I have zero complaints about Cameron Kelly. I could go and pick out certain tackles he missed this year. I'm not going to do that. Dude was awesome this year. So, like, the staff did what they needed to do to shore up the secondary last year. I have no doubt they're going to do it again this year. Everybody that's worrying right now, you just need to remember that we filled a lot of spots once we had our spring game last year. We had our spring game. That was like the filler out period. Like, okay, we got holes here, 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 and here, and we need to address them. And the staff immediately went and just blew it up in the portal and had this team to where they were ready to compete to finish the season, 10-2? They're going to do that again this year. Like, we're going to have a spring game. They're going to bring guys in. We're not done yet. It's not a finished product. Everybody just be cool. Keep cool, my babies, as Conan O'Brien says. Keep cool, my babies. You know, like we're going to be good.
I still maintain that wide receiver is still the biggest need at the moment.
I would agree with that. Yeah. For
I-
sure.
So-
Lacey is great. I'm not even bad talking about the guys they got. Brooks and Lacey are freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But we're just going to need more depth. I think we
Need more
saw
bodies.
from this year that the wide receiver room, as much talent as we thought there was, it just wasn't a whole lot.
Thompson and Callaway coming back, surprise, or at least they haven't left yet.
I am kind of shocked about that. I'm not going to lie.
Well,
Now that
we
they
will
can leave and
see-
not sit out a year, you think?
we will see what happens after the spring game. Those guys might be graduated, either one of them by then.
Yeah, but now you
they
got to
might-
replace 5 receivers. That's a
But
lot.
They can do it. They can do it. There will be guys to be had after spring practices are done.
Yeah, that's a lot, though.
well, by the spring practice, Jaden Thompson will probably be in the end zone against Virginia Tech by then, I would imagine. Dude. I know Trace is somewhere out there like just mad that
I'm pretty sure that when he got that touchdown, the grass. I don't even think he was moving. I think the grass was moving underneath his feet.
Dude,
listen, Ty, me and you are going to be honest, right? He would flat out just scoot us in a race.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
but
yeah,
because we're fat guys.
My brisket's
Yeah.
done on the smoker. I could beat him in a race.
But on a football field, that dude runs like a GTA 3 character, does he not?
Oh my God.
Hey, he could beat me to the dinner table if we're having
Kyle could smoke some good meats before Jaden Thompson gets to the end zone. Trust.
Foot in the dirt, man. Stuck in the dirt.
So I guess we'll see what's going on. I mean, like I said, we're kind of waiting to see if we hear any news on visitors besides the Toledo running back Penny Boone. And I know, like I said, Miami, Ohio defensive end, they're looking at him possibly. And then we'll see if there's anybody. You'd think they would want to. You'd think they'd want to have a few people in this weekend.
Yeah, I would imagine that probably comes out the next 24-ish hours or so. Probably.
I think
they
already have guys.
I
think they already have guys lined up. I just think they're keeping it quiet.
Well, Connor said that Jeff Braun may be at this convention or whatever. I think he said it was in Atlanta over the weekend, giving a speech. I don't know where it's at. I thought he said Atlanta, but
is that like that coaches convention where a lot of
stuff
kind of gets done?
Maybe it's not Atlanta.
I thought that was always in the national championship city. Like, wouldn't?
Well, I don't know where it's at. I misread. He did not say Atlanta. But anyway, if he's at that, then yeah, I don't know. He might not be around this weekend. But anyway,
awesome.
That being said, guys, we talked about basketball. Not much to talk about when you've seen the same game a million times. Connor said he lied. Connor lied.
Connor lied. People died. Hashtag.
I was waiting on it. He said it starts Sunday and it's in Nashville. So that would change things. Saturday would still be a visit day. We'll see what happens. Basketball, I was going to say it's the same game every single game. So there's no we could get into all. I mean, I watched the whole game. We could get into all
the Harlem Globetrotters beat the Washington Generals.
I prefer we don't get into it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm just done. Like, let me know when we're going to have a new coach. This is the point where we are probably going to have to call it quits.
We've derailed. We are singing. We've derailed.
You can clip that. That's for free.
There you go.
All right. Well, did you guys have anything else?
Go ahead. Ross. Go ahead.
I really don't have anything else other than
you're lying. You're absolutely lying. You always
you
have
got
something
on
else.
your mind. You just don't know if you want to say it or how to say it.
Say it.
I would just say we're in a new year and love the ones that are around you and never be afraid to say it and just just be nice to one another and just let's make the world a little bit easier. I didn't got anything sports wise to say at this time, but the ones that are in your corner, love them, love them up. And that's a Coach Sat quote. And
I'm not gonna say it. I get where you're going though.
But be appreciative of what you have, because it's not always guaranteed. And That's all I got to say, man. Happy 2024. Like let's all be better and nicer to each other than we were this past year. Like that's how you move forward and upward.
I agree. Good. I agree, Ross. I'll just add, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus. I know we skipped last week. We'll power through this rest of this basketball season. Everybody, just keep tuning into us. We'll let you come in here, rant. We'll talk about it together. So thank everybody for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, notifications, all that good stuff if you like what you see. So thank you guys, seriously.
I just want to say Happy New
We
Year,
love y'all.
everybody. Hopefully 2024 is the best year we've had in a while for Louisville sports in particular. Basketball, maybe we'll get new year, new life. And football, hopefully we'll just continue the upward trajectory. Thank you, Daniel, for the positive comments. Thanks all to all you guys that have been in here. We've been growing a lot as a channel in the last 6 to 8 weeks. It's been astronomical. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and like our content so we can get, helps the algorithm, helps other people who may not see us check us out, and they can determine for themselves if they like us or if they just think we're all idiots, which I would agree with them sometimes, at least on my end. I won't talk about you two. Anyway, that being said,
I'm a straight horse's ass.
Hey. All right. Well, that being said, guys, thank you all for tuning in. We play, I believe, Saturday, and I think it's Pittsburgh, but don't quote me on that.
Don't make us play again.
Good,
don't make us play.
I'm glad I'm not wrong because, I'll be honest, I was making smash burgers tonight, and I started watching the game 15 minutes afterwards. I've lost track of time. That would have never happened a couple of years ago.
I'm telling you right now, I watched North Carolina and Pitt last night, and those twins for Pitt are they're gonna kill us on the boards. Pitt's gonna kill us on the boards.
That's the longest L I've seen held up ever. Anyway, all right, guys, go Cards.
Go Cards, go Kroger,
Till
baby.
next time.